Hi, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Liv.
And this is the Mach-E vlog. We're standing out in front of the Lynkwell headquarters in Schenectady, New York.
Woo! Today we're gonna go take a tour of their new manufacturing facility. So let's go. Perhaps this building looks familiar, perhaps not, but we did get to tour this last year. This is the Lynkwell headquarters. We will link that video as well. But today we were super excited to get a tour of their new EVSE manufacturing facilities. Here we get a tour with their VP of Software Engineering. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
As a bonus. So stay tuned for a whole video of cool charging goodness. Let's go.
So it's part of the history of Schenectady. You saw it yesterday, that kind of evolution. We started in the Gazette building, which has been a pillar in our community. And now we've taken over a lot of space in that building because as the technology needed to run a newspaper has shrunk, what we need to run our business has gotten a little bit bigger. So it's great symbiosis within that community to see the history kind of continue to expand technology here in this space. So my team is all here. I know, Dan, it's pretty great. The team's going to take you on a tour and show you a little bit about the growth in what we've done here at Lynkwell from our beginnings as Livingston Energy Group to where we are now as Lynkwell, and show the manufacturing of our XLynk product, which you saw probably on display all over the Drive Electric Week yesterday. We're going to show you how we're actually producing those and what the goal is to scale that product.
All right, so good morning. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate your time today. So again, I'm Dan Conley, the Director of Manufacturing Operations here. I joined the company about a year and a half ago, actually coming up on 2 years, actually, it'll be this Christmas. Time is flying. When I came on board, this company basically looked like a 1970s call center, okay? So what we're looking at for a manufacturing related environment was not what we walked into. There was carpet everywhere. All these pillars are 20 by 20 feet apart, so everything was walled in. Wires everywhere, everything kind of looked like it was mauve and green from the 70s. Kind of an effect here, so. Picture it, yes. Yeah, my best Golden Girls impression right there. So. The way we're set up right now, this place runs like a clock. So we're standing at the 12 o'clock position. This is our dock here. So incoming material as well as outgoing units, okay? When I came on board, the company had been around for years and they were picking up other people's products. So over here is a few different options of third-party level 2 chargers. They would bring them in-house and they would give that customer that white glove experience. So they wanted to make sure that when a deal left this factory that it had all of its pedestals or its cable management system or its service associated with it, okay? And what you can see with this small little load right here is there's actually a site map going on. There's a Google Map image associated with this. This 2-piece load that's sitting right here is pre-configured and ready to go. So this will turn into a plug-and-play application at a customer site, meaning the site map tells the installation team exactly where to put these 2 units. They're individually numbered on the outside of the box. The map tells them where to place unit number 1, where to place unit number 2. So when this goes to install, effectively the team just has to take the 2 boxes, drop them at those 2 locations on that map, take them out of the boxes, install them, turn the power on. After initialization, the units come on and they're ready to go because of what this team did in-house. Now what has to happen or did happen in the past was you would be the electrician doing the install, then you'd be that same electrician taking your laptop out, trying to communicate to this unit, trying to get it to communicate to a cell tower, trying to open up that SIM card access, potentially taking your own credit card out and paying for that SIM card to be activated, and doing all of those process steps. And as an ops guy, I look at that as just a lot of wasted cost because doing that out in the field with your laptop and you're the electrician is costing buku bucks versus doing something in-house and giving someone a beautiful plug-and-play experience. So to me, this is economical as well as supportive of the customer as well as supportive of the install team. Now for 3 years, you're going and doing that and you're buying other people's products, and over those 3 years, you're developing your own software, you've developed your own service program, you've built out an installer journey, but you're still doing it off of other people's products. So for those 3 years, customers, vendors, install people would contact this company and say, we like this about that product, we like that about that product. And then we said, thank you, sir or ma'am, and then we hung up the phone because we can't change other people's products, nor are we actually gonna go tell them what to do and make their product better. We're going to take those years of experience and then we're going to get our own engineering team. And we're going to take all of the pros and cons of all of these other level 2 chargers that are out there and make sure that we design one that has all of the pros, none of the cons, and hopefully some better features. It happened. And so that's what this company did at the better part of the time when I first came on board. So you guys are seeing the fruits of that labor. Our XLynk product, which has now completed UL, has got an Energy Star certification, can be BABA compliant, as it's manufactured inside here is our win-win-win option that we've created over the years that you're going to see. But it's still based off of the concept of giving a customer the most efficient, best experience that we possibly can. It's still keeping that mentality as we went forward. So I came into this company 2 years ago. I used to work at a company called Plug Power. So if you've heard of Plug Power was fuel cells. So they were turning hydrogen into electricity and using them still in the same end result products. So I spent 23 years working for Plug Power. I built their manufacturing department. So what you're seeing over here is small scale to me. When I left Plug Power, I had 325 production people working for me, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 3 different buildings in the Capital District, and close to about $500 million in revenue through that product that went through there. So bigger scale, bigger size, bigger weight, same concepts though. What you're going to see from manufacturing, for testing, through throughput. This is Toyota style manufacturing, so it's lean manufacturing. Keep this place clean. I think you'll find it very clean. To me, it's filthy. This is our level of cleanliness, but there's a place for everything. You put everything back in its place, and everyone here is taught to do the same quality work every day they come into work. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, if you did something that's tangible and there's one on the shelf that's good and one on the shelf that's bad, you're not going to buy the bad one. So we're not going to do that with our work when we come into work. Okay. And so in the years of experience doing that, I was able to build out a vast manufacturing environment in the Northeast. So it's actually economical to manufacture as long as you do it efficiently and you do it the right way. So we're in about just shy of a 30,000 square foot facility here, okay? The section on the other side of the wall that you won't see much of is our brain trust. I'll tap dance on that in a moment, but we have an engineering support group and a warehouse support group here. For this company, we are 115-ish, so total about 20, 25 of them are represented here at the South Campus. The remainders of our coworkers are over at the Gazette over here. To your left, to my right, is showing you effectively bulk storage. We have to store a lot of material because we want to be that one-stop shop. So when chargers are going out the door, they also may need retractors. So some good examples of large bulky boxes of retractors going through here. Or third-party chargers need to be stored inside here. To your right gives you a better example of what the piece parts that take into going to building our chargers in-house. So it's a massive shift in scale from a warehouse need for what we are building versus what we have to store as we go and support everyone else. This campus that we're on was built for World War II manufacturing. Okay, there is buku amount of buildings. We actually utilize a similar shape to this design on another part of our campus for overflow storage. It's nowhere near as pretty as this floor space is right now. So what this gives us though is a lot of opportunity for growth and scale. So what you'll see on this factory floor is going to produce about 150 units a week, but we have aspirations and capabilities to build out up to 10,000 units a month. So 150 to 10,000, that's the kind of scale that we're talking about for opportunity that we would utilize this campus for as we continue. So 150 today with opportunity and scale to 10,000 a month. Yes, sir. So now you're dealing with like my old job where you won't see anything like you're going to see on this tour. This tour is about integration where people are using simple tools to put things together in a small fashion. You would be picturing more conveyor line style manufacturing. Everything you might have thought about before you got here today when you heard that you might be doing manufacturing, that's the style that you have to get to when you want to do 10,000 units. Everyone on this floor does an activity that's about 15 minutes worth of less of total time. So in my mind, we keep the amount of required knowledge low. We cross-train out so we have coverage across everywhere. But effectively, when you come into work today, I'm asking you to remember the same 15 minutes and do it over and over for the 8 hours that you're there. 10,000 units is 2 minutes. That's it. Everyone masters 2 minutes of an assembly process and they work in union. So every 2 minutes something happens and the whole process keeps going and rolling. That's going to give you more of that kind of car mentality, that single line automotive style. That's what you would see. We'd compartmentalize out some of our production processes and just single filed produce it out here. There's also a massive change in scale for testing and test capabilities, power requirements. So a lot more changes than just your head count and your staff as well. So it's a big economic investment to go through and make that big step. So we've partnered with some places like the Center for Economic Growth and started some conversations for them to make sure that they're aware that if we are going to go do that scale, that they're going to bring in the money to support building out this infrastructure. So that we then turn around and go from 10 people in production to 100 plus people in production and effectively put 90 more jobs in the market for this area for production people. And they're out there and they didn't know that they were going to have that job. That's my goal there too. Okay, so good question. Now, the EV industry is an ever-evolving market. So tomorrow or next week, we're all going to find that there's another charger, another retractor, another cable management system, another new thing that's coming, right? So this company prides itself on the fact that it has a catalog that supports everyone's needs, which means customers are also going to hear about those new things. They're going to want those new things. People want new before they even know what they want, right? So they're going to be asking for that latest and greatest charger without even knowing the power requirements, or maybe it has a requirement that they can't support. But we are trying to get those units ourselves. And as we provide portfolios that provide everyone's products, we're out there to make sure that their charger works with somebody else's wall mount retractor, with somebody else's pedestal kind of piece here. So we are dabbling, we are playing, we are going through all of our available opportunities for us in that market to make sure that these things all do come together and give people that perfect white glove experience. Because if we don't, someone's going to ask for it next week, so we're going to have to figure it out anyway. So it's just the devil in the details of the industry that we're in, right? Over here, guys, so this section right here, so again, every pillar is 20 by 20, so we're in a 400 square foot space right here that we're standing in. This is the only amount of space that we use for configuring third-party chargers. So Ravina's over here right now. She's got a unit. She's going into it. It's probably a gateway unit. She's probably making sure that that one communicates first. Then she's going to pull over some non-gateway or some Wi-Fi units, make sure that those Wi-Fi units are all linked up to that gateway unit. This customer might require a certain cost, may want an RFID reader. They may want an RFID reader at the morning hours and they want cost at the night hours. That's all part of the configuration process that comes from our sales team that makes its way to us on the South Campus with all of those details. So we print, process, execute the orders as they come through to us. And effectively what you see on the other side is other people's products, ourselves included in the mix nowadays, that just get drawn over here to be configured, and then the material goes back. So we'll keep many different versions, even though you're only seeing about 7 to 8 pallet squares of different chargers in that other warehouse space that I mentioned, and we just draw them in by the weeks based upon the configuration's needs. This is all it takes though. What's happening here is 220 volts, a laptop, and a person who understands what they're doing. But this is taking that away from the electrician in the field and having to do all that work in front of the customer's hands right there, and making sure that it's gonna work before you go and do it. God forbid you show up with 3 units and one of them doesn't work, right? Here we're gonna make sure all 3 units are functioning before they're heading out the door, so you'll have that plug and play. Now I'll show you the XLynk, and we're gonna walk the rest of this building, and it's all XLynk, not third-party stuff. If you do have other questions though, I'll gladly go back and answer them, but it's all showing off the other half now. So Tara, good morning. Okay, so the XLynk product is a different beast, and for a lot of different reasons. But the first thing I want to say is when these units make it over here, they've not been tested, they have not been configured, they have not been calibrated. They are fresh off the production cell. Everything over there, I get to hang my hat on that they built it, they tested it, they've confirmed that it works properly before we even bought it from them. So I don't have to go through those steps, I just configure. So with Tara, she has multiple pieces of test equipment in front of her. From left to right, we go through our firmware and software flashing and updating. Then with our Kelvin and Lola combination, Kelvin stands for calibration, Lola stands for load. We go through and calibrate each one of the units. Then we apply a load to the units and we confirm that they function properly as the metering device that they need to be. Then we have Grover. Grover over here is our ground fault interrupter test. So this is our safety test feature. So we're making sure that within milliamp measurements, if there is a loss of ground, that the charger stops functioning completely, effectively going through the full safeties of the entire thing. That, ladies and gentlemen, just gets me a unit into a box. If we are to configure, we still have to send our product over there and go through the configuration process as well. But this gets me our product into a state where we can then either sell it to a distribution center, right? Just right off the shelf, they're gonna buy 100, they're gonna store 100, they're gonna use them later, or do that white glove configuration treatment like you saw on the front or you just saw with Ravina over there. All right, way easier if I bring you all in. So come on in everybody, get close, say hi to your neighbors. Okay, so the XLynk unit, there's 3 of them on display right here in front of you. There's 4 to a cart. That's because every 15 minutes, the gentleman behind me, Rohan, produces 1 unit. So we have this mapped out to 1 cart equals 1 hour worth of labor effectively in the factory. They're all numbered like race cars, so I can watch them go throughout the day and make sure I'm not getting tricked with who's a what and a what's a where. The units come in 4 major flavors. We have an 18-foot, a 25-foot, and we have a gateway and a non-gateway. So the operators here on the build side are provided paperwork and serialization stickers that match one of those 4 flavors. Outside of that, it's still the same consistent parts though. Our unit is extremely serviceable. Okay, so with every other level 2 charger out there, typically what I see is the first part they put in is that SIM card. For some reason, they start with putting the SIM card in first, and then they bury all the rest of the components. So when you have to go out and change it out of that AT&T site, you actually often find yourself ripping and replacing chargers versus actually changing SIM cards out, which is ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. The front half of our unit is right here. It's actually inverted over. This is not how our product is used. Our product is used like this, but we have this neat little feature in our design that we can just flip it over and the standoffs hold the thing in place. So from a build and operation standpoint, it works well for us. The front half of this unit has all of your LEDs. It has our Wi-Fi antenna. This one's a gateway, so I have my SIM card here and my cell modem antenna right here on the unit. I have my display screen and I have a backlit here. So with the front cover of our product, we give customers options if they want to put their logo. This could be Target in red, or this could be Walmart in blue, or 50-50 if you need it to be, right? But this is giving you a chance to display, or if you're a distribution center yourself, maybe put your own company's name on these things. But here in my hands represents basically all the parts that typically tend to fail when these chargers do break and go wrong. The problem with chargers when they break and go wrong in the field is you're using the same team to install them as you typically are to service them. So if I want to build my network, I also have to repair my network, and I can't be in two places at once. If I have to go and repair my network, I don't want to rip and replace a charger. I'm spending twice the amount of labor putting that thing in, so I'm probably losing twice the amount of opportunity to make some money on that deal. With our product, the front half of the unit is simply connected by a ribbon cable. Okay, so very easily I've disconnected the front half of this unit. One access cover to get this cover off, 8 screws to reach this piece. You and I, on a coffee break, could go out to this site, kill the breaker, pull this cover off, take this screw off, and simply take a dumb front end. The front end I'm applying to this unit does not know anything about the back half of this unit. And then I reattach it with my screws, I put my cover on, and I turn my breaker back on. What happens next is in about 1.5 minutes time, the back half of the unit as it's initializing recognizes that the front half is dumb, has nothing on it, and then it tells it what it is. So it tells it who it is, it tells it its brothers and sisters, it tells it how much I'm going to charge someone at any given time and how my network's going to work and who do I talk to and where do I go. And at the end of those 2 minutes, you're now ready to go use the product all over again and continue to go. So from a serviceability standpoint, you could have hundreds of these chargers deployed, and you can keep 5 of these in your truck, okay? And all you have to do is roll up at a site, kill the breaker, get these 8 screws off, disconnect the ribbon cable, plug another one in, get the heck out of there, move on with your day. You're done, okay? Then you can send this part back to us. There's about 50 piece parts right here. There's not 50 broken piece parts here. There's typically only 1. So my team's going to analyze this. We're going to find the root cause of the one part that's bad, repair that part, and then put it back on the shelf as a reman part that you can utilize again. And in that process, everyone's keeping their costs down, they're keeping their reliability up, and the customers get charging all the time. And you can build your network out. So you've got all of those opportunities from the serviceability standpoint. Another part of our design that I think you saw when you were here but might not have seen the importance of is those units in the front of the lobby are screaming pink, right? They're pink on the front here, but they're also pink on the halo. We call this our halo design. It's important that we think that operators know if a charger is going to work for them before they even get out of their car. And most level 2 chargers that are out there, you have this tiny little window, and that's about all you've got, unless you really trust your app and if it's truly telling you the truth as you're using your app. So with the halo design, you get a green lit halo around chargers that are active and ready. You get it blue when it's charging a car, and it goes red if this charger happens to be down. So now you're a driver and you're showing up to a fleet of these. You know where to park, or if you know to stop and turn around and go away if something's not there. And if you do have to stop, turn and go away, don't worry, give me 5 minutes, I'll be right behind you, I'll swap this front out and they'll be back ready for you again. This is what we provide our customers that other chargers don't have. This product is also selectable. So by our design and our product, I mentioned we only have a few SKUs. We have opportunities to change the scale of the output of this product. So this is a 48 amp design product right now, but if we needed to downgrade this to 32 amps, let's say we don't have enough service there, but eventually we will. We can downgrade this to 32 amps with switches. It's backed up by software, so you just can't change the switches. It has to be harmony between the software and the hardware side, but you could also upgrade later. And you don't have to buy another unit for that application. And give us some time, our next product should hopefully be 80 amp capable and give you all of that flexibility from 32 all the way up to 80 amps with the same product here. So for those reasons, we have the better level 2 charger out there, amongst many other reasons. But I think those are some easy slam dunks to talk to that I'm sure many of you have experienced already as you've been using some of these level 2 chargers out there. At the start of the production cell tour, I said that that cart represents 1 hour worth of work. Slight asterisk to that, that cart represents 1 hour worth of Rohan's work. Rohan is doing final assembly every 15 minutes. There's a total of 45 minutes worth of total time going into building one of our level 2 chargers. So Sam and Tommy are out here representing 2 of the substations that actually the bulk of the work is actually done and supported with. From a labor tracking and time standpoint though, I'm only focusing my Gemba board, my activity board on the one operator putting the final unit together. And these 2 stations are actually just managed by visual Kanbans. So you'll see a lot of green and you'll see a little bit of blue in here. So green to me is raw material, so green raw bins, green raw location, blue is assemblies. And how that's visualized right here in front of you is Sam is working our cable station. So Sam starts here with a cable tree that's raw. So the manufacturer for a UL product has to have a UL machine as well as a UL part that comes together to make this piece. I can't touch this in our manufacturing process. We get the rest of it raw though. So we have a pilot signal and then we have a common and 2 hots to deal with that are all basically just pre-stripped at a determined length. When we build them into our product though, they are all at different lengths. So what we've designed over here is a 3D fixture that goes together. So Sam is actually placing his piece parts into this 3D fixture right now to do one of his last steps. But the first thing Sam did is he put the raw cable in, okay, and then he folded this arm down, that green little arm here to hold the wires down. And then on the fixture, there's a bunch of cut and strip lengths pre-marked on it. So after he lays his cable in, he marks his cut and strip lengths. Then he takes the cable out and then he cuts and strips them. Okay. After he cuts and strips them to those predetermined lengths, he puts it back into the fixture with all of the loose piece parts. So ferrules, lugs, gland seal. He does a crimp and a pilot line for his signal over here. The 3D fixture gives him all of the measurements for all of these pieces and all their terminations, and it also acts like a third arm for him when he goes and puts everything back in, so he can use his 2 free hands to tighten everything and put it all together. This used to take us about 15 minutes with a little bit of ambiguity because everyone holds a tape measure slightly different and uses it to do slightly different measurements. And we get down to 7 to 8 minutes consistency every time with the unit. I don't care about the length of the cable. I only care that the final termination is the same when it's all said and done. He actually slaps a zip tie on it too, so we use green and pink around here to tell us our visual indicators of our different cable lengths. So actually watch zip tie colors float through to make sure we've got the right lengths. That's all we're doing right here. And you'll see to his left is blue. Those are all the cable trees that are assembled. They're ready to go. So when Rohan grabs the cable, he's not dealing with raw cable like this. He's dealing with a product that's ready to plug and play into his unit, and he's just continuing out with his 15 minutes of assembly. Tommy is building that board assembly that I walked you through. So she's got to put all of those LEDs into holders, put all those piece parts. She's wiping her parts down, putting isopropanol down, and then putting her adhesive parts on and putting all those together. And then filling visual Kanban. So you'll see black bins over here. They're ESD bins compared to the other ones. And you'll see blue and green bands. That's my gateway. And when you see a green band, that's my non-gateway. So everything flows here with very simple visualizations. Everything's only measured at the last station, although we have 6 people working in conjunction here between the builders, the testers, and the packers right here. And this 150 units that I spoke to at the beginning of the tour is happening out of these 3 workbenches and that 1 test station that you see over there. That's it. There's a second set of test stations already, or not test stations, build stations already behind me, so we can double our growth. We can do training, we can do rework. This campus that we have, I would utilize this space to my left, which is my Kanban space. So basically to keep everyone focusing and keeping them efforts into the build side, there's a backup of all of their parts and materials over here on my left. As I deplete a bin, I simply come over here, leave my empty, take my full, and go back to work. And the warehouse team keeps these bins full at all time, and this is a week's worth of material in our stocking location. So this is lean manufacturing. This is the Toyota mentality. As soon as we go in and pluck every last person out until we can just get by with what we have going through here. But this is very easy to grow and scale. There are no tools here that should scare any one of you. Very similar stuff in your garage or your junk drawer in your house. Not even at pneumatic levels where we're using air-operated tools to assist right now at this point in time. That conveyor system, though, changes everything, though. This entire section of this middle factory is one conveyor system. Instead of Sam sitting here and doing those cables, I'd have an entire corner of the factory and 20 people over there putting all just those cables together for us. And 10 people in conjunction in one line in the middle. Just do it, 2 minutes, slide it on down. And that whole back half is all test. We'll just flood that with electricity and test stations. But the other major change, guys, is every bit of wood and cardboard gets the heck out of here. None of the warehouse can stand inside this room when we go to 10,000 units. We'll just use another building on this campus, and we'll truck in all the raw material. They'll take it out of the boxes for me. They'll put it in these beautiful bins, and I'll truck in Baker X worth of beautiful plastic bins. We build, we test, and then we truck out our finished goods. And they'll put it in the boxes and store it and get it ready for customer orders. And that's how we're building out our manufacturing to support our growth here. The rest of the stuff that we have over here is to support level 3s, all the fast chargers. So you can see all sorts of different kinds of fast chargers inside our facility here. These are just a few samples. Again, in our warehouse, we have a buku amount of them stored over there. This was an older brand one that we had. A lot of this is about educating people too, right? Because most people think just get the fast charger. That's all we need now. But you know, as my wife and I were looking for EV cars yesterday, shopping around, I don't want to grab this cable and deal with this cable every time I need to charge a car. I don't want her dealing with that either. And God forbid I'm going to get one for my mother, and she's not going to use this charger, right? So, make sure people understand there's the right tool for the right application, and it's not for everyone.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for spending your morning with us today, your afternoon, all day Sunday with us yesterday for Drive Electric Week, which is officially #1 in the country, in case you did not get the memo.
Yeah.
We not only beat our score of number of we were #1, and then we beat our score for being #1 last year. So we had over 100 extra registrations, nearly 5 million e-miles driven by people who registered for that event. That's 5 million e-miles. So we can be proud of that. And that's just right here. So great event. Lynkwell obviously being a major sponsor of the event and bringing people into town like you fine folks. So thank you for coming. Hopefully we'll see you next year. We're always happy to do these tours for people who are interested in e-mobility and American manufacturing. So come on back.
We are now at Lynkwell's headquarters. We took a big tour of the facility last year when it was Livingston Energy. They've rebranded. So we'll put a link to that video up above, but we wanted to come back and talk to Nick. He's VP of Software Engineering. Yep. And you just saw, like, we were out there, we were charging our car, we downloaded the app, used the barcode to link, took me to the Play Store, App Store, downloaded it. It all worked great. So that's like the best thing, right?
Yeah, that's what we hope for, right? That's what we hope for every time.
So all of that development is done in-house here.
Yeah. So we have dozens of engineers that work on this floor. And then we, as you guys toured before, we have hardware engineering over there, software engineering over here. And what that allows us to do is everyone being in the same place allows us to really close that feedback loop, right? And then we also have our call center and our technical support here as well. So as problems arise, we're able to quickly solve them without needing to call overseas or adjust for time zones. And it really allows us to, again, tighten that feedback loop.
So you can figure out, is it hardware, software, or user error?
Exactly. So that hardware component is incredible, right? Because a lot of companies that just do the software or just do the hardware, it's hard to figure out the other side of the story, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas we are able to see the entire picture, which really allows us to quickly identify like a root cause and then solve the problem, right? Whereas, if I'm working with just the software, I have to call a hardware company, and the hardware company they don't really know how the software works. Or flip side, if I'm a hardware company, I have to call the software company.
Right.
And again, the software company doesn't really know how the hardware works. So having both of those components in our system really helps us solve problems fast.
And I imagine like the other issue is like when you're separate like that, like they are, it's like there's a lot of pointing fingers. It's not our problem, it's software. It's not our problem, it's hardware. But here it's like you're all on the same team.
One of the biggest problems we have in the industry as a whole is exactly that accountability factor of like, if you ask the hardware, it's like, the software's not working. Or hardware's not working.
Yeah.
Right? Really what we try to do is alleviate that concern completely, right? So we take the customer call via our call center, right? And then it's, no matter who's pointing internally, it's always pointing back at Lynkwell, right? So whether it's a call center employee, a software employee, or a hardware employee, right? They're just working together nonstop. Right, and then so it's not really, it doesn't benefit them, sort of they were separate, right?
Right.
It doesn't benefit them to point fingers, right? It's everyone's trying to solve the problem together.
That sounds great. And for like an EV driver like me, the goal is that it just works. But I imagine like the clients, the cities, whoever is putting in the chargers, the whole idea too is like to make it easier for them, because for a lot of cities, a lot of, whoever, site owners, they don't want to get involved in any of this stuff.
Yeah, the perfect scenario is that you don't have to do anything outside of what you do every day, right? You just, right? And where we're moving towards, Lynkwell and other companies in the EV industry, is you just plug your car in and walk away, right? Your car, and we know it's, Patrick from the Mach-E vlog, because your Mach-E identifies you, right? So you plug in your Mach-E, we do all the stuff with Ford in the background, and we know it's you, and then we can bill you just like that.
So like a plug and charge.
Exactly. So that's where we're moving to. Hopefully.
Would it be like the industry, it was ISO 15118 or something like that?
ISO 15118-2 is what you're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. And are you guys going to work in that standard, or is it going to do like EVgo? They sort of do their proprietary Auto Charge Plus that's not standard, or?
So I think a lot of companies, both hardware, software, and services, are all working towards ISO 15118-2 as we speak. So these guys right behind you, that's what they're working on right now, is finishing it up, so that we can work with OEM vehicle manufacturers like Ford to get that widely distributed in the United States. And actually, we were just in Europe, where it's a lot more common. So we're trying to bring that to the US as quickly as we can, because we understand that's the future. Right.
And I mean, that eliminates like the biggest problem is like everybody out there that is a current EV driver. I'm sure we can open our phone and show like all the apps.
Everyone
It's
does.
great that you have the app, but it's just frustrating that it is like this whole thing, like you're standing in the rain, you're trying to activate, you're plugging in, like, oh no, unplug and do all this. But if you can just plug in, it makes it easier for like the next wave of people that just want to do like a gas card, just plug in and or put something in.
Well, that's really the fun part about it, right? Is we have an opportunity right now to beat the experience of gas stations, right? So right now, if you look at pretty much anyone unanimously, gas stations are a better experience, right? You just swipe a card, you get gas, right? It's not that way in the EV charging industry. Whereas we're hoping over the next 12 months, we can leapfrog that experience, right? So whether you're going to the movies and there's a charging station there, or you're traveling and you need a fast charge, you just plug your vehicle in. There is no swipe, right? Your vehicle does go, right? And then you get real-time updates via a phone, via text message, or however, saying, hey, you're charged, you're ready to go.
Let's take a look. I'll take a screenshot. Oh, we got a message popping up. We don't do that. But look at that, like real-time data from our car that's out front charging. And that's the beauty of it, is like you can sort of like monitor what is going on with your car. You know that it's being billed correctly. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Is like we're going to leapfrog that experience, because like right now it's not the best. Although I still point out, if you get in gas, a lot of times you're entering your frequent gas number, and then you're swiping your card and all that. It is pretty complicated. But plug and charge beats that by miles.
And even if you go to like the gas side of things in the fleet world, it's even better, right? Because now you're tying electricity to the vehicle, right, without a card, right? So if I'm a fleet driver right now, I have to use that gas card to identify, hey, this vehicle is getting this gas, right? Whereas hopefully in the near future, and we do this today with Auto Charge as well, is that you just plug in that vehicle, we identify the vehicle automatically, and now you're tying all that data back to the vehicle, which is just incredible for fleet.
I mean, we've talked to like Ford Pro and like how they're like trying to look at this type of thing and what they're selling. And I hear it from customers that we've talked to of theirs. It's like the whole thing is like you want simplified management of your electric vehicles, and the billing part is sometimes the most complicated thing. And if it's all tied in, it makes it simple, and you're not tied into a particular brand. So even though we have a Mach-E, we have a Ford, we're not Ford loyalists. And I know like if you're a plumber, you're like, you don't want to be stuck in one world. You want to be like whatever truck I buy and it has plug and charge, we're good.
Exactly. So, and that's really where the cooperation of the entire industry comes in, right? So that everyone's on the same page, right? And it's important because if you lock yourself into the vendor, right, you're going to see what has happened, right? What just happened this past week, right? A vendor goes out of business and now you're sort of stuck holding, it's your problem now. So, that's why, especially here at Lynkwell, we follow all of the industry standards, right? OCPP 1.6, we were there. OCPP 2.0, we're one of the only US-based companies that's doing it today. ISO 15118-2 we're doing, OCPI 2.2.1 we're doing, right? So we are, and a lot of the times we're on the working groups that are developing those standards. So while everyone in the industry right now is trying to migrate from 1.6 to 2.0.1, we're already looking forward to 2.1 and some of the advancements that, again, we're all pushing towards making that easier for the driver.
Now, these standards, like, we all think of them as like it's a very specific, this is like how exactly everything has to be, but there's actually a lot of wiggle room. So it isn't just a very simple thing of like, we're going to program this and it's going to just work. There's still a lot of testing and making sure all of this works. So can you speak to like how difficult it can be to be, standard compliant?
Yeah, and definitely in the OCPP world. So OCPP is how they communicate. 1.6 is like the wild west almost, because there's, it's designed, I want to say almost a decade ago, and everyone sort of had their own flavor, right? Everyone had their own dialect. And now with 2.0.1, it's better, right? And that's because the standard's about 4 times as big, right? So they took a lot of the gray area out. But yeah, we do a ton of interoperability tests. So like we look at the standard as sort of the base, right? That's you're opening the door.
Right.
And then there's so much more we do with interoperability tests, because stuff we found in the real world that happens, right? So normally what happens is we will see a problem in the real world, right? It'll just keep occurring and it'll become a pattern. We're like, uh-oh, we need to check for this, right? And then we build that right into our interoperability testing so that all of the hardware vendors we work with, we can verify that they're not having the same problem. And if they do, what's really great about working with Lynkwell on the hardware side is that we can give you that information. We have the engineering capability to say, hey, we don't just say, hey, something's wrong. It's, this is exactly what's happening. Here are the logs to support it. Here's how you can fix it.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, bottom line, too long didn't watch. You guys are just making it work.
Yeah.
And I just, downloaded the app. It's working. It's great. And I'm sure site owners are appreciating the work you guys are doing as well. So
absolutely, man. Thanks so
thanks
much.
to everybody here.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're the hard workers, not me.
And I do want to touch base, like the final thing though is like, this is all, it's really great because these are like U.S. jobs. Obviously, we're here in the U.S., but I think it's really important. Some of the programs that we talked about last year that you guys do to basically make sure it's providing a career path for people. Yeah. So that's really cool. If you want to talk about that, because I think it's like I want to see more companies doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, right? So one of the things that I think from a culture side that we do and I love is that we give that sort of opportunity, right? So a lot of students are from local colleges here, right? Pretty much our whole staff is from local colleges, and some of them are even from before that, right? So like Will over here, he's from before college.
I think we met him last year on camera. I'm not sure. I think
he's from before college. So he actually went to like a BOCES self-study program and then came here to do an internship or an apprenticeship, and now he's a full-time employee here, right? And so that's the path we sort of like, right? Is them growing up in the industry, so we don't have to untrain bad habits or anything like that. We sort of teach them right from the start.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for spending time with us today.
Of course.
We're really excited. I'm going to go, check my charge again and then move on.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye.
Today was really cool. I really like what Lynkwell is doing. If you look at our other videos, I think what they're doing is excellent. They're doing a lot of stuff here in-house, bringing stuff made in the U.S., software engineering in the U.S., tech support here in the U.S., really impressive stuff. We're actually behind us. We are charging on one of their new EVSEs. These are the ones that they put out here for customers, but also the public to actually use so that they can do real-time feedback and data and figure things out. But yeah, we have a lot of videos now with Lynkwell. We had the tour last year. We have this video with the tour of their new manufacturing facility. And we also did a bonus video while we were here today for customers that have NLX juice boxes. NLX has decided to abandon the US and Canadian market, and Lynkwell is willing to step in and help people transition so that there's some software support and network support for them. So check out that video if you haven't seen it already. We're gonna rush and get that one out because that's a pressing topic for everybody, but really cool to see what Lynkwell is doing. And I don't know, it's been nice to get to know the Lynkwell team and all the stuff that they're doing locally. If you haven't, you really should check out last year's video when it was Livingston Energy. We'll go change the name of the video so that's now correctly labeled to their new branding, Lynkwell.
But we should clear something up, by the way. We are not standing in front of Blucifer, Tucifer. This is actually, we need your help with a name. This is our Blucifer stand-in. This is Focifer, Blucifer, Focifer. We were fortunate enough to borrow a Blucifer, Tucifer twin for the week for many National Drive Electric Week adventures. We have all those videos coming out as well as this. So Blucifer, Tucifer's friend is standing in, testing out this charging. Thank you so much for joining us for this video in which we got a tour of the new Lynkwell EVSE manufacturing facility. Super awesome. Check out all our other videos about this amazing stuff on the channel. A huge thank you to our patrons whose names are scrolling down below right here. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you to our YouTube members who also support us and have little lightning bolts next to our name and get cool things like fancy pony emojis. Thank you for watching. And just remember, what do they remember?
Just remember, whatever you drive and whether it's Lynkwell charged or not.
Enjoy the ride.
I guess.
And charge. Bye.